becoming undone. This is the point. For I am a man of unclean lips, and I live among a people of unclean lips, and my eyes have seen the King, the Lord Almighty. Then one of the seraphs flew to me with a live coal in his hands, which he had taken the tongs from the altar. With it he touched my mouth and said, See, this has touched your lips. Your guilt is taken away, and your sin is atoned for. Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, Whom shall I send? And who will go for us? And I said, Here am I. Send me. There is a price for worship. If we take a moment this coming week and we prepare our hearts that God is awesome, and we get a handle on that God is awesome, and that we get to a point that we can worship Him with total abandonment. I'm not going to care what people think. And we start walking daily with Christ as if He was our best friend, which He is. And we gain that intimacy. There is something that's going to happen. We are going to get a glimpse of God and His glory. And we're going to realize that God wants something from us. That worship has a price. That worship has a price. And in us, there's this thing that's going to happen in the pit of our stomachs. That we become uncomfortable, unsatisfied with maybe the way our lives have been going. That we realize what we've been doing isn't enough. That God wants more. That God wants us to get more involved, to give more to Him, to give more of ourselves to Him, to start cleaning house in our heart and taking all those things out that we've been holding on to. You know, we may have had pain or guilt or frustration going on in our hearts, and we just realize none of that can exist for me to worship God like He wants. And so I have to get rid of that. And that costs me something because I'm going to have to go back to God and ask for His forgiveness. But I get to a place where I am willing to say, Here I am. It's just me. I don't have much to give. But I give you me. There's a price to that. See, we will cease to say, Please give me more. God, will you please replace my truck or my car? It's just a piece of junk. God, will you please give me that raise I need? God, will you please make my life better? God, will you please just make my kids behave themselves at school? God, will you please just give me more? We cease to say that and we start telling God, Lord, I have more of me to give to you. I want to give you more of myself. We cease trying to take from God and we start giving to Him. That's the price. That's what it means to become undone. When God just turns our world upside down and what we thought was up is now down and what we thought was left is now right, and God just takes everything and just spins it around, and we're just kind of like, you know, like we were putting a big tire and rolled down a hill, and you come out and you just kind of staggering around, you don't know what's going on, but there's God. That's what I'm talking about. And our lives sometimes feel that way, like we've been putting a tire, you know, but God is still there. We give to Him. Give to Him. And that brings us to mission, purpose. Because that is the ultimate expression of worship. When we start trying to figure out, Lord, what can I do for you? This morning, a friend of mine that I went to college with is doing humanitarian efforts in Afghanistan. Afghanistan was just in the news with some of those volunteers getting killed. If it wasn't for Facebook, we wouldn't have known if he was all right. He just made a quick post. My wife and I are safe. Thanks for your prayers. Pray that God blesses our efforts, that we can continue sharing God's love in Afghanistan. We cease to take, we start to give. That's what it means to become undone. That is what it means to be consumed by God. That is what Jesus was talking about when he said true worshipers. Now, the majority of my life, I've never felt that way. I didn't even think of it in terms like that. What can I give the Lord? I always thought prayer was my wish list, you know. That prayer was that way that I get the things that I want out of life. You know, Lord, give me a wonderful life. I got that. I got the better end of the deal, actually. Praying over children. God took care of that. Not that God doesn't want to supply our wants and desires and our needs, especially if our desires in our heart match up with the desires in His heart. He wants to give you all of that. But what about after that? Do we just wait for the next thing? Or do we start giving back? And that's what God wants to do. This week there's a couple of questions at the bottom of the outline. You can just answer them for yourselves. I mean, we'll go through them real quick. When's the last time you've been overwhelmed? That you just really just, man, God, what are you doing? Not in the way of like we hear it said sometimes, God, why are you doing this to me? But just, Lord, why are you just so good to me? Or just go ahead and click them all up. That'd be fine. And how does that affect our responses? You know, just some things to kind of think about this week. You know, the application here. You know, after you leave church, after you have to go back to Fort Benning or St. Francis or the doctor, or the dentist office or the bank or wherever, after you know, that's the important time. We've got to keep this going in our mind. You know, God is seeking true worshipers. Is worship a way of life for us? You know, do we live that? And do you know the one true God in an intimate and personal way? And I mean, if you're finding some things here that say, you know, Jay, I just don't. God doesn't have that place in my life like you're talking about this morning. He can, though. He doesn't have that place because He doesn't want to be there. He doesn't have that place because sometimes we don't let Him be there. And if that's the case, that we're not letting God have that kind of role in our lives, and you want that, now's the perfect time to fix it. I know fix it's not a very theological term, but that's what it means, you know. Fix it. Make it right. How? You know, how do I do that? Just pray to Him. We're going to have a time of prayer. You can pray to Him right now. Lord, I'm sorry that I've not let you have a very important role in my life. Lord, I'm sorry that I let things get in the way. Please forgive me. It starts there.